Hi, this is Sam Black with the looking at the deck I'm about to play. This is kind of an Abzan Green Devotion Constellation Mastery of the Unseen hybrid deck. This harkens back to the deck that I played at Pro Tour Honolulu, Green Black Devotion with See the Unwritten. That was just trying to wrath the opponent by getting multiple Doomwakes into play. With Eidolons for card advantage against grindier decks, and I've added Master of the Unseen to that, and Whisperwood Elemental, and where ordinarily in a 2-color Green Devotion deck I'd be playing Temples, here I'm just playing Sandstep Citadels, and then I can play both Pain Lands and Fetch Lands, and end up with a similar number of colored sources to a 2-color Green Devotion deck for each of my splash colors at the cost of some scry. I'm a little hesitant about that. I think that I have underestimated the value of scries that I was getting in switching to a 3-color deck before, but I think that the Mastery Shell is powerful enough that I want to include it. I like that it's a cheap enchantment for Eidolon and for Doomwake Giant, and I like that Temur Sabertooth is good with the Mastery engine and also good with the Constellation engine. And basically the reason that I think that this deck is worth trying now in particular is the Rise of Hangerback Walker makes Doomwake Giant better, as it's a great answer to Thopters, and decrease in control and more green decks makes See the Unwritten better. It's a much more explosive card than Genesis Hydra. The primary drawback to it is that it can be countered by a single counterspell, but when it's going to resolve, putting 2 big different kinds of threats into play for 6 mana is a really good rate. So that's what's going on with the main deck. And then panning over to the sideboard, I have Genesis Hydra and Whisperwood in case I want to go a more traditional route against a control deck. Arbor Colossus, since Stormbreath Dragon is fairly popular right now, and this is the best way to deal with it, aside from Ultimate Price and Plummet, which I also have access to. Couple of Nylea's Disciples, I'm kind of skimping on this, making up for it with Mastery of the Unseen in theory. Reclamation Sage and 2 Unravel the Aethers. Again, I think there are a lot of artifacts and enchantments right now, and I wanted access to Reclamation Sage because I could See the Unwritten into it and rebuy it with Temur Sabertooth. But I like the cheap, easy, instant speed Unravel. I think that with Eidolon of Blossoms as a card advantage engine, the deck actually becomes much more suited to cheap 1-for-1 type removal. And then one random Nissa Vastwood Seer that I like in a lot of spots against people who don't have Searing Blood or Wild Slash, especially against people who have a lot of removal. It's especially against people with cards like Anger of the Gods and Languish, where your other mana creatures are a liability. Nissa is a way to have some built-in card advantage that also gets you your mana to cast your big spells. So that's what's going on with this deck. Now let's see how it plays.